very sensitive to that. And so they're much more concerned with the 1% who are the cognitive elite than they are the 1% who are the economic elite, because at least they think that's a game they could play. So anyways.
Isn't that also because there's caricatures, right, of the 1% of the economic elite? You just think of people that are in these lofty positions that are in control of the financial institutions. But the 1% of the intellectual elite, you think of in terms of like some of the more preposterous things you're hearing out of universities now and safe spaces. And
there's that too.
Yeah.
There's that too.
There's
no appreciation on the part of the intellectual elite for the pathologies of rationalism.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing stupider than a smart person who went wrong. You know, like you can tank on. I've seen this in my clients, you know, frequently. Like if I have a particularly smart client who's particularly disordered in their personality, that's so difficult.
I mean, when you look at those headlines, yeah, a lot of them are opinion pieces, but those are the New York Times picks the headlines. Just think of China's Daily had articles that said, to stop somebody's bomb, let's bomb them. Bomb Syria, even if it's illegal. Bomb North Korea before it's too late. If China talked the way the New York Times talked, if Russia media talked this way, we would consider that to be clear evidence that these states are addicted to war, addicted to militarism, you know, infected with hubris and arrogance and race.
How we attached or did not attach to primary caregivers in our childhood has much to do with how we attach or fail to attach to romantic partners as adults. Because the same neural circuits, the neurons and their connections in the brain and body that underlie attachment between infant and caregiver, between toddler and parent or other caregiver, and during adolescence and in our teenage years, are repurposed for adult romantic attachments. I know that might be a little eerie to think about, but indeed that is true. Now, the fortunate thing is that regardless of our childhood attachment styles and experiences, the neural circuits for desire, love, and attachment are quite plastic. They are amenable to change in response to both what we think and what we feel, as well as what we do. However, all three aspects that we're discussing today, desire, love, and attachment, are also strongly biological.
Yep, yeah. I'm through just fine.
Okay. So I wanted to talk about gender affirming care and why I think it's unethical. And my position is based on the Cass review out of England. I think that if you read that, you'll see that the evidence is low quality, and England has no longer prescribed these treatments, and we should do the same.
I'm so glad you called about this today, Ted, because I actually just read a paper that was released, a peer-reviewed paper out of the BMC, which is a medical journal, reviewing the Cass review and for bias in particular. And so there
500 people, then I had a breakdown. I had a slide that said breakdown. At what point did I think that was a good idea? And she said, I saw your talk live streamed. It was not really you. It was a little different than what you usually do, but it was great. And I said, this can't happen. YouTube, they're putting this thing on YouTube, and we're going to be talking about 600, 700 people. And she said, well, I think, it's too late. And I said, let me ask you something. And she said, yeah. And I said, do you remember when we were in college and really wild and kind of dumb? She said, yeah. And I said, remember when we'd leave a really bad message on our ex-boyfriend's answering machine? Then we'd have to break into his dorm room and then erase the tape. And she goes, no.